Each year, St. Lucians generate thousands of tons of trash in the form of food waste, garden waste, wrappings, bottles, boxes, cans, furniture, clothing, and much, much more. Over the years, we have gotten used to throwing it away, so it is easy to understand why now we generate so much more trash than is necessary. As a young developing nation, we are starting to realize that we cannot solve the solid waste dilemma simply by finding new places to put trash. Historically, poor solid waste disposal has caused serious environmental problems. The problems of solid waste management in St. Lucia have been compounded by a scarcity of public land suitable for sanitary landfill siting, with the attributes of 1. Sufficient capacity, 2. Accessibility, 3. Relative remoteness, 4. Hydraulic isolation to protect water supply, and 5. Proximity to suitable cover material. A change from traditional combustible and biodegradable packaging materials used for consumer products to non-combustible, non-biodegradable materials which persist in the environment and are more difficult to dispose of. An inadequate number and inappropriate type of storage facilities and collection plant, further contributing to problems of litter, proliferation of disease-carrying vectors, and pollution. Aging collection equipment, experiencing frequent breakdowns and unable because of terrain-limited access to service many areas. Inadequate mechanical equipment at disposal sites, and low public awareness of solid waste issues. Effective solid waste management has been further impeded by a lack of national legislation, which sets standards, defines responsibilities, and regulates practices. Hence, the creation of the St. Lucia Solid Waste Management Authority, SLSWMA, which was proclaimed into operation in 1996 under Act No. 20 of 1996. The mission statement of the SLSWMA is to enhance St. Lucia's environmental integrity and the health of her people through the provision and management of an integrated system for public education and awareness, and for the collection, treatment, recycling, and disposal of solid and hazardous waste. The establishment of the authority was catalyzed by the OECS Solid and Ship-Generated Waste Management Project. This is a $50.5 million 5-year regional project being implemented in St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Kitts and Nevis. The project aims to reduce the amount of garbage generated in our homes and businesses, and to improve the collection and disposal of domestic and ship-generated solid waste. In the recent past, the authority has attempted, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, Family Affairs, Human Services and Women, and the Ministry of Community Development, Local Government and Cooperatives and Councils, to initiate a number of improvement measures at the existing disposal sites within the terms of the existing contracts, while at the same time developing new contractual documentation to govern future operations at these sites.
What you have here is the Cicerone disposal site. It's been open for about 7 or 8 years or so. So what we're trying to do is upgrade this site from what was historically a dump site into what would be an engineered disposal site. So we're trying to achieve a number of things, a lot of which you see going on in the background at the moment. We're trying to compact and cover all the existing waste on the site. We're trying to operate the site into a number of smaller operational cells so we minimize the amount of waste that's exposed to the environment. We get better compaction, we get better coverage. And in so doing, we're minimizing all the environmental nuisances, such as flies, windblown litter, odor, and contamination of the watercourses.
This is a cell that is in operation right now, and over here we have cells that are closed. At the end of this workday, this will be covered with topsoil until the following workday, when more garbage will be put on, and at the end of that workday, it is covered with soil until the entire cell is filled, and that's what happens here. Topsoil, and it is rolled.
In 1997, a long list of 17 potential replacement sites to serve the north of St. Lucia was prepared by UK-based consultants in collaboration with the St. Lucia Solid Waste Management Authority to include all those sites that had been assessed in reports from as far back as 1992, as well as all major quarries in the north. All sites were in the north and west of St. Lucia, in areas from Bois d'Orange to Belvedere. Deglos was the only site on the long list that satisfied the criterion of a minimum of 10 years waste disposal capacity for the north of St. Lucia.
A sanitary landfill is a development that you have to prepare in terms of making appropriate provisions on a particular site, and also that you have to operate in a certain way. So in terms of construction, you would prepare the base of the site to ensure that the so-called leachate, which is the water that becomes contaminated after passing through the waste, you'd collect that and treat it. You would also ensure that gas that tends to be generated by decomposition within a landfill is appropriately managed.
The valley at Deglos is situated 3.2 kilometers due southeast of the center of Castries and 3.8 kilometers east of the Grand Cul-de-Sac Bay. The site is situated approximately 350 meters to the north of the Cul-de-Sac River. The site area consists of the valley floor, which is surrounded to the west, north, and east by steep slopes and opens to the south into the Cul-de-Sac Basin. The elevation of the proposed landfill base is approximately 10 to 15 meters above sea level. The site is 11 kilometers distant from the city Castries by road. Completion of the new Latok Highway will make this site even more accessible for Castries and its environs in the north. The nearest settlement area, Trois Pitons, is approximately 700 meters northeast of the Deglos site, although there are a few dwellings on and adjacent to the northern and eastern valley slopes of the site. The Deglos landfill project is scheduled to commence construction in late 1999. The GOSL and the St. Lucia Solid Waste Management Authority are sensitive to the concerns of the various groups that this project will impact upon and have convened several stakeholder consultations on the project since 1996.
Once they causing any flies around and them kind of things, I believe, well, it could be a good thing to do.
I think it's a good idea.
Moi, c'est une bonne idée pour nous en haut, puis le jet prend par là, là, quand il tombe plus en bas, c'est une bonne idée pour nous moins. Avec un groupe, là, quand ils ont bon, ils ont des jours travail à aller, puis moi-même, pas une pièce côté pour aller. On a eu ça pour un job là.
There are some challenging physical conditions at the Deglos site. These relate primarily to stability and water management that must be addressed in both the construction and operational phases. The implementation of mitigating measures conceived at this design stage will ensure that the site will function economically while mitigating the environmental concerns. The low strength of the underlying soils, particularly in the center and south of the site, will be taken into account in the detailed design, as well as in early operation, to ensure that the significant settlement anticipated under waste loading will be accommodated. Settlement in the underlying soft alluvial deposits will be accommodated by the provision of a thick drainage blanket, geogrid reinforcement, and a geotextile to ensure the integrity of the drainage layer and the ongoing collection of leachate. Waste must be placed in a planned manner so that the level of the landfill is raised without overstressing the soil mass. This strategy will consolidate and strengthen the underlying soils. This Deglos site also has many desirable physical features. These include the steep, narrow slopes on 3 sides, which provide natural screening from adjacent areas. The hydrogeology, with net groundwater inflow in the south and center of the site, which serves to protect groundwater in the vicinity. The subsoils of low permeability that, combined with a cut-off bund across the foot of the valley, will provide a containment system for leachate, and the soils of a clayey nature that provide natural attenuation of contaminants. One of the reasons for purchase of the entire valley is to ensure that there will be no activity on the slopes fringing the Deglos Valley base. The site developer will be required under his contract to protect and, where necessary, to restore the vegetative cover. Furthermore, the site operator will not be permitted to excavate cover material from within the site. These measures will significantly reduce the risk and severity of landslides or rockfalls within the valley. Proper operations with compaction and daily covering of waste will minimize odor generation within the site. A visit to the existing VFO site should serve to reassure persons with this concern. An access road will be cut in from the Trois Pitons Bexor Road to the southeast of the site. The road will be approximately 380 meters long and will also facilitate motorable access to farm holdings of landowners in the area. The access road will be paved so that dust generated en route to the site will be minimal.
That sanitary operation at Deglos will be supported by appropriate collection contracts, which will ensure that high performance is achieved and maintained. There will be penalties for poor performance. The proper management of Deglos is, of course, essential in order to preserve the environment and in order to achieve the high levels of good health to which we all aspire.
New collection contracts for household and institutional waste will be issued over 1999, and all contractors will operate under these by the time that the Deglos sanitary landfill is in operation. These contracts will stipulate minimum performance specifications that must be met by collectors. These include the need to properly contain and cover waste consignments, prevent leachate discharge from vehicles, and regularly sanitize collection vehicles. Collectors will further be required to abide by public health and traffic regulations and penalized for offenses. Temporary litter fences will be erected downwind of the tipping face so that if during the tipping and compaction operation litter is blown off the tipping face, this will be captured on the litter fence before it can escape the site. Labor will have the specific responsibility to control litter within and beyond the site. The tipping face will be accessed by an all-weather access road so that collection vehicles will be able to travel to the tipping apron to discharge their waste regardless of weather conditions. The authority has already executed an agreement with the Caribbean Environmental Health Institute for site monitoring. Under this agreement, the Caribbean Environmental Health Institute will train site operators to conduct routine weekly monitoring, interpret test results, collect leachate samples for weekly analysis, and monitor biogas, H2S, and CO2 emissions. Site investigation, construction, and operation of the site and its materials recovery facility will provide employment and economic opportunities for supervisors, equipment operators, and laborers. Members of the community who meet job requirements have the advantage of being located close to the development. Awareness of waste management programs and reduction activities on an individual level will empower householders nationwide to reduce wastage and therefore costs in their homes. Communities in the area will be provided with an improved quality of collection service. The entire community stands to benefit from improved sanitary landfill operation to a higher standard and overall increased environmental standards. These translate to improved quality of life and public health. In the long term, the Deglos site will be returned to community use. Sports, forestry, agricultural, and recreational uses are among those recommended. The benefit of improved waste management is an improvement in our own quality of life. A cleaner country means fewer health risks. Preserving our unspoiled beauty means better prospects for our tourism industry. Through the initiatives of the authority, we are cleaning up our environment, preserving paradise, and safeguarding our future.